please welcome the leader of the Labour Party, Mr Jeremy Corbyn.
Samantha, thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you for your great talent and the way you share that talent with so many and help so many to inspire so many young actors to achieve what you've achieved. We're really honoured and proud that you're here today to launch our cultural manifesto. Thank you very much indeed. And Emma, thanks for your introduction. I look forward to you joining Carl and Diana as three brilliant representatives for Labour for Hull. Thank you all for being here today. And I also want to thank Tom Watson, a former Hull University student. I can't claim to have been a Hull University student, but Tom is going to be an absolutely brilliant Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport in the next Labour government, because he's totally dedicated to the brief that he's got and the determination that culture should be there for all. Tom, thanks for what you said this morning, and thanks for everything you're doing in this campaign. Actually, there could be no better place to launch our cultural manifesto. And during the hour after the general election was announced, Tom and I put our heads together and we said, culture launch will be in Hull. And it is. And we're here. It's Labour's guarantee of culture for all. And I think it's absolutely right we're here. In the last Labour government, our then Culture Secretary, Andy Burnham, was impressed by how Liverpool had been transformed after being made the European City of Culture. And I was in Liverpool over the weekend, and we had an incredible music event over the water in the Wirral, and 20,000 people turned up to a football stadium to enjoy music. That is the mixture of sport and music and inspiration of so many people. We want that chance for everybody. Andy proposed the idea that every 4 years we should have a UK City of Culture. What he was unable to do was guarantee that speakers in an election campaign don't lose their voice. And thanks to the brilliant bid that was put forward by Hull City Council, Hull was chosen to be the City of Culture. Congratulations to Hull. Well done on the bid you put forward. These things don't happen by accident. They happen with very, very hard work by a lot of people. And Hull had hoped to encourage an extra 1 million people to visit Hull during 2017. 1/3 visited in the first week. And I'm not surprised. Look at what you've offered. Anyone arriving at Hull Station, what's the first thing you see? A replica of Amy Johnson's plane, made by prisoners to help them learn new skills, which is excellent for anyone in prison, but also as a gift to this wonderful city in memory of one of its favourite daughters, Amy Johnson. Well done, Hull. Well done, the prisoners. Well done, Amy Johnson. Blade saw a 200-foot wind turbine blade made locally at Siemens Greenport factory go on display in Queen Victoria Square. The Poppy's Weeping Widow had 450,000 visits in just 2 months. And finally, you created the Sea of Hull by encouraging 3,000 local people, yes, it's very broad-minded, to strip naked, paint themselves blue, and be photographed in the early hours of Saturday morning. These photos, taken by an absolutely brilliant photographer, Spencer Tunick, are now on display in the refurbished Ferrans Art Gallery. So in a very, very nice way, the people of Hull made an exhibition of themselves. I'd like to thank Labour Council leader Steve Brady for all his hard work in helping the city deliver for culture. Steve, well done you and your colleagues, and well done Hull's Chief Executive, Martin Green, also for the effort he put into achieving this, because this is a team that delivered something absolutely brilliant for this city. Because we can see what transformative powers of culture have done for Hull. Not just attracting visitors and creating absolutely world-class cultural events, but here in Humber Street, where a former fruit market has been regenerated into a thriving cultural hub, creating new businesses and new jobs. The new Humber Street Contemporary Art Gallery next door has seen 60,000 visits. 60,000 visits in the first 6 weeks. It is estimated that being the UK City of Culture will bring £60 million in economic boost to the City of Hull this year alone. That is an achievement that everybody should be very proud of. And this city that has done so much for this country, brought us so much art, brought us so much poetry and so much inspiration, is a model that we can all learn from. And now Labour wants to replicate what we've seen in Hull across the rest of Britain. And here's why. Our music industry alone contributes £4 billion to our economy each year. But every Adele or Stormzy has to start somewhere. And small venues like Hull's new Adelphi, which obviously inspired Tom Watson to go on to greater things, and larger ones like Fruit, give artists their first break as they learn their craft. But over the last 10 years, in London alone, 40% of small venues have closed. That means there's nowhere for budding musicians to perform, there's a loss of rehearsal space. Where are the next generation of musicians going to come from if we take away the facilities now? And this Conservative government has made matters even worse for artists. Since 2010, they've slashed 48 million of funding for the arts councils in England, Wales and Scotland. There is creativity in all of us. Labour's mission will be to set that creativity free. We need to give people the opportunity for all their creativity to flourish. So today we unveil our cultural manifesto, which sets out a bold and inspiring programme to encourage creativity. We're pledging £1 billion to launch a new cultural capital fund to support our world-leading cultural industries that have been savaged by Conservative cuts. We will end austerity to boost creativity. It will be amongst the biggest arts infrastructure funds ever created. It will boost arts, music, theatre and literature, upgrading our cultural and creative infrastructure for the digital age and supporting our economy. The fund will also invest in creative clusters across the country based on a similar model to business enterprise zones. I don't want to see just one city benefit from the transformative powers of culture every 4 years. Our Cultural Capital Fund will help many more towns and cities like Hull benefit all the year round. The fund will be administered by the Arts Council, a Labour creation under Jenny Lee, as Tom pointed out, over a 5-year period, and help to transform our country's cultural landscape. We will also protect and invest in music venues to support grassroots and professional music, ensuring a healthy music industry right across the country in every town and city. Labour will review the business rates system to make it fairer to organisations like music venues. And this is actually very important and very practical help that we can give. Extending the £1,000 pub relief to help small music venues that are suffering from extraordinary rate rises at the present time. We will also maintain something that we're very proud of in the Labour Party and what Chris Smith achieved when he was our Secretary of State in 1997. We will maintain free museums and invest in our heritage sector. I remember Chris explaining to me how he went to the national museums after they'd been made free, and suddenly everybody could be there. Before that, they couldn't. Our national heritage is national for everybody, not just those that can afford it. The heritage sector is central to both the identity and economy of local communities across the country, because access to culture is vital for the emotional and intellectual growth of all of our people, but especially important for young people. We want to unleash the potential of every young person, not just through education in the normal school setting, but also through culture. In every one of us, there's a poet, a writer, a singer of songs, an artist, a creative thinker. But too few of us are able to fulfill any kind of artistic ambition. Under the Conservatives, it's getting worse. Per pupil funding for schools is going to be cut for the first time in a generation. It's become so bad that head teachers are being forced to send out begging letters to parents to make donations just to keep the schools running. This is a shameful state of affairs. So we will be, in addition to properly funding our schools, scrapping tuition fees and introducing universal free school meals in our primary schools, something pioneered here in Hull. But we will go further. Labour will introduce an arts pupil premium that will allow every primary school child in England the chance to learn a musical instrument, take part in drama and dance, and have regular access to theatres, galleries and museums. Labour will not only feed our children's stomachs, we will feed their minds and unleash their creativity. The Arts Pupil Premium will provide £160 million per year to boost creative education and ensure arts facilities in state schools match standards found only now in many private schools. We will deliver a creative future for all and a culture for the many, not the few. But we need your help. If people want to see these transformative changes, then they have to be able to vote. Those who are not on the register have 12 hours, 26 minutes to get registered. 12 hours, 26 minutes, and it'll take you 2 minutes. So you've still got 12 hours, 24 minutes to do whatever you were planning to do today. Since the election was called, more than 2 million people have registered to vote. 40% of them aged between 18 and 24. So my message is simply this. If you're being held back and want to lead a richer life, then get registered and have your say. We can stop a Conservative government that wants to pit the old against the young and replace it with a Labour government that offers hope and unity. A government for the many, not the few. A government that ensures that culture is for all. And I'm very proud of the manifesto we're putting forward. I'm very proud of the culture and creative part of this manifesto. This country is so brimming with talent. Let's let that creativity, that talent, that genius be unleashed, because culture is for the many, not the few. Thank you very much indeed.
I'm going to take questions now from the media, and the first one is Arch from the Press Association.
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. George Osborne has just tweeted to say that the Tories are going to be U-turning on their social care policy and they're going to introduce a social care cost cap. So I just wanted to get your reaction to that.
That was George Osborne, was it?
Yeah, he's got a story coming out.
Did that come from the Tory Central Office or from the Evening Standard?
It's going to be in the Evening Standard. I would suggest to you that he probably knows.
And we'll take them in. We'll take them in threes. And Rachel from RTV.
Good morning.
Hi.
Labour have been running education in Wales since 2011, and yet tuition fees there are the same as in England, £9,000 a year. Why should students in England trust you on tuition fees?
And Keir from the Daily Mirror.
Morning. The last two sets of opinion polls have been single-digit leads for the Tories. What do you think is behind that, and do you think you can keep going?
Okay, thanks for your questions. A Tory U-turn on social care would be extremely welcome, because I want this country to face up to its responsibilities to those who need care, either frail elderly, those with special needs, those with severe disabilities, those with learning difficulties. And our proposals are that we will refund social care, putting emergency money into it now so those million people waiting for social care don't wait. And we won't get involved in this horrible policy the Tories are putting forward, which will actually damage families and family income, damage people, break up relationships. All kinds of horrible things will happen from their very dangerously ill thought out social care policy. And if George Osborne is at last doing something useful in his life of supporting proper funding of social care, then thank you, George, for that. And I urge him to read very carefully what's in our manifesto on social care. Rachel, thanks for your point. We put forward a very clear, funded and credible policy of what we're going to do on university fees. We do so because if we carry on with this process of ever-rising fares, and indeed under Conservatives a threat of lifting the cap altogether, then what happens is two things. One is those that have achieved enough to get into university, gone through university, leave with debts of often £50,000 and more than that. And if they earn more than 21,000, they have to start repaying it, but the debt is still there for a long time after that. I'm determined that university education should be available for all, and that is why we've gone into this in a lot of detail after a lot of debate and a lot of discussion, and looked at it and decided, yes, we will make this offer of removing the university tuition fees, reinstating the maintenance grant for those who need it in university, and reinstating the educational maintenance allowance so that young people can continue to do A-levels or vocational qualifications and have some degree of independence and self-respect in what they're doing. And we do that because we want all young people to have the chance of going to university. Since the fees have gone up to 9,000 under the coalition government, the numbers of working class youngsters going to university has declined. The number of university applications has started to go down. Surely we should be investing in our future. Somebody who doesn't achieve the profession they want, nursing, teaching, medicine in some other form, engineering, whatever it happens to be, they lose out. But we as a society lose out because we've lost a qualified person who can help improve our industries, improve our services, improve our quality of life. We're determined to do it, and we're going to do it when we've won the election on June the 8th. Keir, thanks very much for your question. I'm not commenting on any polls that are going on. The only poll I'm interested in is the one on June the 8th. But what I would say is the numbers of people that are registered to vote in this election are extraordinary. The numbers of people that are volunteering to help the Labour election campaign are extraordinary. And the numbers of people making small donations, average of £22 to our election funds, says something about the popularity of the manifesto we put forward and the views that are there in it. This election is obviously very important for the future direction this country leads. And what I do is invite everyone to take part in conversations over the next 2 weeks. Conversations about whether you want a government that continues tax cutting the corporations, tax cutting the wealthiest in our society, and continuing to underfund schools, underfund education, underfund social care, underfund mental health, deny the arts the support that they need, and deny industry the investment it needs in a better infrastructure across the whole country. So we get high quality railway lines to every city, including Hull, that we get good broadband contact rate, access rates all over the country. The Labour offer is about an expanding economy which will improve employment, improve wages and improve living standards, or a continuation of the grotesque levels of inequality that exist in Britain. That's the Labour offer.
We'll take questions from the audience. Any questions from the audience? Sure.
Jeremy, we have a society that we want. We have a society that we want to be built on equality, and I know that's what you're attempting to deliver. Have you a key message for those younger voters, such as my two daughters that are hoping to go to university, and a son that wants to get into qualifications, that's a message of hope particularly for them? I know our policies are there, but it's key to us as parents and as those that have young people. I mean, Stella's a few years off yet, Carl, but she's going to be there. But we want to make sure that those young people and their parents understand the real importance of why they need to vote Labour in June, because we've got to win this election. This is a one-off. If we don't, we're damaged. Not us, I'm talking about as a party, I'm talking about the country. Yeah. How do we get by this, and how do we deliver for them?
Darren.
Thank you. Jeremy, we have one of the best school music services in the country, and the brilliant Albemarle Music Centre. Do you think that your precept for every primary school pupil will enable such centres of excellence to spring up all over the country?
Any further questions? Anybody in the audience? Yeah.
Hi, thank you. It's Lynn Davidson from the Sun. The Northern Ireland's...
No, we don't boo journalists.
The Northern Ireland Secretary, James Brokenshire, has challenged you today. I know you were asked about this on television yesterday, but he's asked 5 questions on the IRA, asking should the IRA's acts of murder be condemned unequivocally, were the IRA terrorists, and do you, if they are, would you unequivocally condemn the IRA as terrorists?
Well, thanks James Brokenshire for his questions. I condemn all acts of violence in Northern Ireland from wherever they came. I spent the whole of the 1980s representing a constituency with a large number of Irish people in it. We wanted peace, we wanted justice, we wanted a solution. The ceasefire, the first ceasefire, helped to bring that about and bring about those talks which were representative of all sections of opinion in Northern Ireland, and the Labour government after 1997 helped to bring in the historic Good Friday Agreement, which the basis of which was the recognition of the differing cultural histories and values of Northern Ireland, and it stood the test of time, and it's still there. We have devolved administration in Northern Ireland, and I think we should recognise that that peace was achieved by a lot of bravery, both in the unionist community as well as in the nationalist community. People that walked a very difficult extra mile when they were under pressure from their communities not to do so. Both Republicans and Unionists walked that extra mile and brought us the Good Friday Agreement. And I think we should use this election as thanking those that brought about the Good Friday Agreement. All of them. Those in government at the time, as well as all those that did so much on the ground. And Northern Ireland is a very different place. And we're going to be working with the devolved administration in Northern Ireland, as well as the government in the Republic, to make sure that Brexit doesn't bring about a barbed wire border between the north and the south. We don't want a hard border. Of the other two questions raised, thank you. This election is about two views and visions of Britain. Either the absolute 21st century cutting-edge ideas put forward by the Conservative Party, which seem to revolve around restoration of fox hunting and selective education, or our view, which is one which is about giving opportunities for all. We cannot go on being the laggard of industrial investment of all the major industrial countries in the world. We cannot go on underfunding crucial services. We cannot go on shortchanging our young people who are offered little except greater costs and greater debt and less opportunity. And so we're not going to get into this awful game of setting off the young against the old, saying to the young, you've got to pay for the costs of the older people, saying to the older people, you're under some kind of threat because of what we want to spend on education. In reality, we all depend on each other. Young people need the support and help and wisdom of older people. Older people need to be encouraged and enthused by young people. So our manifesto is for all. And I say to young people in this country, this is your chance. People laid down their lives that you might vote. Women's right to vote came because of bravery of those that fought for it, the suffragettes and many others around the time of the First World War. But it also started here, in Hull. Mary Wollstonecraft, born in Beverley, she wrote The Rights of Women in 1797. And that is very much part of the origins of that whole democratic movement. Hull has taught the world a great deal. And I say to young people, this is your chance to vote in this election, your chance to express your democratic view, and I hope you will recognise we are absolutely determined and serious to properly fund education, properly fund and support culture and the arts, properly invest in industrial growth and service industry growth for the future, so your skills, your genius can contribute to a better quality of life for everybody. Please take part in the election, but above all, have that discussion. Ask those difficult questions of each other and everybody else between now and election day. That is what an election should be about, a popular debate and a popular discussion. And do you know what? I'm enjoying every minute of it. And on your point about music, I congratulate Hull because of the traditions it's got in culture and in so many other things, but also the way in which you've got a council that are serious about young people learning music. And when young people achieve things together, it's quite inspiring. And it's the role of local education authorities that's also important in this. I went to the Royal Albert Hall to see the Schools Music Association concert a couple of years ago. Absolutely brilliant, absolutely extraordinary. Huge orchestras of 100 children coming together. You think, wow, how does the conductor manage it? But the joy of those children there performing together. You go to libraries where there are summer reading projects and you see the joy of children who've read 6 books, talked about it, and feel inspired by it and will carry on using the libraries. And so I want to roll that out all across the country. So those areas that are seeing their theatres closed, their libraries closed, music classes cancelled in their schools, lack of instruments and all that sort of thing, it isn't going to cost a mint of money in order to reinstate so much of that. And that's why Tom and I are absolutely serious about this pupil arts premium to make sure that every child gets that chance. Don't leave it just to those whose parents are able to spend enough money to get their children into private theatre schools or private music lessons. Let's make it mainstream. Do well in music, you do well in maths. Do well in maths, you do well in music. It's not an add-on, it's not an alternative, it's part and parcel of our creativity and our lives. I think what we've proposed today here in Hull is something that will absolutely transform the cultural landscape of this country in exactly the same way that the 1960s Labour government, led by Harold Wilson and that fantastic Minister of Arts, Jenny Lee, transformed the whole ideas and notions of culture and involvement of everybody. There's creativity in us all, rich or poor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's all right, mate. Well